saw doctors with, oh, what a day, and it has been, and we've just started. We've got heats 3A and 3B. We've got unlimited lights, and we've got our final coming up about 4:15. There has been one casualty so far in the racing this weekend, and it came during a qualifying, a practice run the other day. It was Lindsey Emmons, and Tony Ventrella is with that driver in the pits. Tony?
And Steve, we're not really going to talk about the particular rollover. We're going to talk about the result of the rollover. Lindsey, because you did that little trick with your boat, now you get stuck with the job of being driver's rep. You have a controversy, and you're the guy that's got to tell Fred Leland that that was an official heat, right?
That's right, and I feel safe with this thing. He can't get his arms around my neck, so I'm safe.
So this driver's rep thing, this is probably just a one-shot deal for you, right? You want to get back in and drive?
Yeah, I hope so. I'd rather be in the boat. It's a lot safer out there.
By the way, did you see what happened in that last heat? It was just, I know very few people. There's so many different stories, I guess.
Well, some folks saw red flares. There were definitely some red flags, but they weren't called down from Mike Noonan, the referee. So I don't know where they came from or why they were there. So
the best analogy I heard, Steve, is that it would be like someone in an NFL game in the stands blowing a whistle, and suddenly all the players stop what they're doing on the field. Something that you never did, but it could happen.
Well, that's because I was always standing over on the side and was not out there on the field, in which case I wasn't busy doing anything anyway.
Well, there you go.
That's right. Thanks for bringing that up, though, Tony.
Okay, no problem.
Meantime, here are the high points standings so far for the unlimited hydroplanes during the course of this season, and shouldn't be any surprise there that the Miss Budweiser's on top. Maybe the surprise, though, is that Freddie's Club is number 2 and not doing very well today, Scott.
Well, actually, they did come around, I think, in their second run, and they did run a nice, strong second place. And hopefully, I think they have a little more in their tank. They, tend to conserve their resources and come on late. So I think, they've had a good run. They ran real good in the East Coast. They ran good in not so good, I guess, in Tri-Cities, but they ran good in Kelowna. And hopefully, they called them as a winner there.
With 3 races left to go, though, the National High Point Championship is pretty much academic, I think. Budweiser would almost not have to, not be able to score any points at all between now and the end of the season to not win the National High Points. They haven't hit the magic number yet, but they're not very far away from it. Nobody's really very close.
Well, and what we really want to see before this day is over, we want to see all the boats that can run fairly close to the Budweiser, all in the same heat with the Bud. That's what we're still waiting for. We'll see that in the final.
I think that's
We're going to have to wait to the final, and obviously, we have some boats on the bubble here we didn't expect with the Elam and the Pico. Actually, at this point of the race, are out of the final.
All right, work continues on the ambient.
Steve, we've got one unhappy camper here. He just got the word that heat counts, and that's the way it's going to stand. Fred, what are your thoughts on that?
Well, the race officials see it one way, and we kind of see it another one. Apparently, the Coast Guard shot it off by mistake, and they didn't have any control over that. And so, in result, they didn't call from the barge to stop the race.
But your driver doesn't know it's a mistake.
Well, that's true, but sometimes you just got to go by what they decide.
So now you move on, and you guys need some points here, don't you?
Yeah, we need some points badly.
Okay, Fred's out here. Going to go get him in Heat 3, and he needs points, like he said.
All right, Fred Leland and Bill Rocky. And the rest of the Heat 3A will be taking shape in a few minutes. We'll run down the boats in Heat 3A and 3B coming up.
Heat 3A is brought to you by Southwest Airlines, the official airline of Seafair, giving you the freedom to fly. By Subway sandwiches, where you'll find 7 subs under 6 grams of fat. Subway, the way a sandwich should be. And presented for Seafair by Johnson & Johnson.
Yeah, they may be using a little Johnson & Johnson Scotch tape or athletic tape on some of the boats out here today, but not the Big Red machine. The Budweiser team is primed and ready for Heat 3A, Scott.
Well, they've had their way the whole day, and with the exception of the miscue on the start by Dave, I think he probably learned from that, and so far so good for the Big Red.
Once again, Dave Villwock can stay out of traffic and has boat speed to rely upon. He's going to want to go for the points here. Doesn't want to mix it up with anyone. Wants to have a clean start.
He's been following the action in the Bud pit most of the day. Here's Tony.
Steve, opinions even here in the Bud camp were split as to whether there was a jump start or not in that last race. Dave Villwock said no, and Bernie acknowledged, and the rest of the crew said, yeah, he was just a little bit early on that one. So he took a second, he's got a first, and he's going out here to win another heat. Certainly still the fastest boat on the water. It's just a matter of what he does once he gets us out there. Steve?
All right, Tony, and one of the boats in Heat 3A that will be chasing the Bud is this boat, the U-14, the Tweeton's RV Mart with Ken Muscatel at the controls.
Well, Ken's had a good day, and he needs to have another good, third place or better finish, and that will move him up.
Definitely wants to be third or better. I think that in this particular situation, he's going to ratchet up his performance just a little bit, show that he has a little more muscle than he's displayed thus far.
Bill Wixie's on the finger pier next to the Tweeton's RV.
Roger Newton with the Tweeton's crew. Roger, you going to play it safe this time, or are you going to go all out?
Oh, we're going to play it safe. We want to get in the final. We just need to get enough points. I think probably third or fourth place finish should get us into a final real easy.
All right, good luck to you.
Thank you very much.
All right, Bill, let's take a look at the Chaplain's boat, which is sitting right there. The U-19 will be the Easter Seals boat and a finisher and a winner.
Well, he won a heat because everybody else jumped the gun, and a lot of credit goes to Jerry Hale for making the start when the others didn't.
Got handed a gift, though, Scotty. Got a feeling this time not anything left under the Christmas tree. He's going to have to work very hard to be in this one.
Yeah, he'll have his work cut out for him.
Christmas in August, I had forgotten. Let's go to the Elam boat right now. And taking a look at the Miss Elam, Jimmy King at the controls.
Well, this is a young man that really has a big chore ahead of him. A lot's expected out of this boat. The owners are expecting a lot, and they have not performed well today. They need to step it up.
I'd say they're almost in a must-win situation, or at least a second place here if they're going to continue this particular Texaco Cup. Jimmy King's got to show us that he's ready to race in the final, and he's thus far not demonstrated that.
Bill Rocky in the pits. Are they ready to race?
Well, last heat they jumped the gun, and I'm with Eric Elstrom. Eric, how mad was Jimmy about what happened last?
Well, he was a little upset. We're going to do better this heat out. We had a good weekend 2 weekends ago, and I think we'll be better prepared this time.
How come you don't have your dad's accent?
Well, he was born a few years younger than me and in a different country.
That happens. Yeah. All right, we'll see how the Elam does this heat. Like the Pico, they need some more points here. Steve?
Bill, let's take a look at the Graham Trucking boat. U9 did not start its last opportunity in the heat, 2A. It looks like the sling, though, is stretched out. Are they going to try to lift that thing up, Scott?
Yes, they're going to give it a go, and it's really unfortunate. They had a second place finish their first outing. They missed the second heat, as you said, and they need to go.
Mike Weber, a good driver, unfortunately denied an opportunity to race. They were hoping the race could kind of come to them. That little glitch didn't really make it come out that way. A second wasn't bad to begin with. They need some points this time around.
So again, here's your lineup for Heat 3A that's coming up in a little more than 5 minutes, almost 6 minutes from now. You've got the U16 boat, Miss Elam Plus. The Chaplin's Bellevue Volkswagen presents Easter Seals. Miss Budweiser, Graham Trucking, if it gets off the trailer, and Tweeton's RV Mart, Ken Muscatel, the pilot of that one. Still a few last-minute pieces of tape. As we said, lots of tape gets you. Duct tape may be, aside from an additional engine, if you have one floating around, or a Lycoming motor, duct tape is probably one of the most valuable things you can have around these boat camps, Scotty.
Yeah, we called the 200-mile-an-hour tape in the days that I drove, and down the sprint cars we call it 100-mile-an-hour tape. But some bad news over here for the Graham. I see the slings coming down, and they just pulled the pin pins on the cowling, and that's not indicative of a boat that's going to be able to make the heat.
And Mark Webber just walked in off of the pit. The cowling's coming back off again, so looks like the day may be just about over for Graham Trucking after such a promising start. Meantime, we're inside of 5 minutes now. 4:54. Again, if you're just joining us, this is the Texaco Cup at Seafair. We're in Heat 3A. The clock you are seeing in the top left-hand corner of your screen counts down to 0. And when it hits 0, these boats should be up to speed at, 160, 170 perhaps down the straight?
At this point on this racetrack, it's about 160 because it's only about an 8-second run off the exit pin to the start line. But they will accelerate on up to 190 as they enter the first turn down here.
It is the traditional clock start. They've returned to it here at Seafair this year. One of the changes that they've made is Bernie Little watches the Bud pull away from the finger pier. He gets set to watch his driver, who's so far, aside from the jump start a little bit earlier, has pretty much had his way, certainly has the fastest boat on the water.
Well, that's almost a liability for him, it seems like at times.
Bill Walk coming off of turn number 2 now, and virtually we have a flat lake, almost windless out here at the moment. Very very much a mill pond, at least before the boats start to stir things up. It won't last very long that way, but it doesn't appear as we're going to have any kind of wind or roller action that should muss anybody's hair in this particular one.
Mike, before we get back to the water again, and it'll probably get churned up here in just a couple of seconds, let's go find out if, in fact, they're going to be able to try to fix this boat, Graham Trucking and Tony Ventrella.
Well, they had gearbox problems is what it turned out to be, and they thought they had it solved in time for this heat, but obviously, after we walked back over to the Bud, they've come up with more problems. So I'm going to head back over and find out exactly why they can't get ready for this heat. I'll be right back to you in a minute.
All right, Tony, jump in when you are. Meantime, there's the Elam Plus out on the course.
And we call your attention again, of course, to the 1 minute gun. When it sounds, when we see that flare in the white flag, that's going to put the number 9 boat, the Graham Trucking, out of business for a second time this afternoon. And we hope that doesn't happen, but it's getting thrash time down in their pit area right at the moment.
The Elam sure looked good coming down the chute. He made a little speed run there. And boy, it'd sure be nice if he could give a run to the Budweiser here. I do believe he has the boat.
He's pretty much going to have to do that too, Scotty, isn't he? I mean, he is in a situation where the Elam has just not been particularly strong, particularly in the second heat, having jumped the gun and finishing dead last in that one, getting points that way, and also only a third place finish in Heat 1B. Doesn't give the Elam a whole lot of points. You need some security here to get into the final. Granted, there aren't that many boats on the slings, but the reality of it is that you're going to have to be a little bit faster than he was.
Well, there's 6 on the front line for the final, and right now he's sitting 8th in points.
Tony Ventrella, how are we doing down there with that boat?
Well, we're down here live with Don Alatin, crew chief. You guys had gearbox problems at first, and then I thought maybe you solved them. Well, was it something different this time?
Well, it was actually a spacer in the shaft that goes into the gearbox, and we dropped it, then we found it, put it back, and now the shaft is not lining up. So now they're going to have to pull the gearbox out and redo some work. So we still have chances in the Constellation run.
So a promising start, but nothing since.
No, nothing since. But we haven't given up yet. We can still try and get in the Connie.
All right. That's the spirit, Donna. From Graham Trucking, a little disappointment now. They're going to try to bounce back. Nobody ever quits till it's over down here, Steve.
Well, the fat lady hasn't sung yet, and I don't expect she's going to actually for a while. And nobody is going to quit, especially with that red boat out there, because everybody's going to be chasing that one at about just under a minute and a half now until the gun. And again, these boats will start queuing up. You'll start seeing them go through what is called the infield here, not exactly the infield, but cutting across the course, being sure to stay away from the safety vehicles and the Coast Guard boats that are out there, but also trying to get themselves in position. Everybody dicing for that start, Scott.
Well, and Vilwalk just pulled off and turned ahead of the corner, which puts him early on the start once again, but will secure the inside. He definitely wants the inside in the Budweiser. The other 3 guys, it looks like the Muscatel's got lane 2 coming up the back chute with the Elam and the Easter Seals boat on the outside of them.
And with the tight corners here on this course, would you suggest being down inside on this race course here?
It's not my recommendation, but that's why they're paying Dave the big bucks, and we're getting the little bucks sitting up here talking about it. I certainly wouldn't be up there with this much time left in the race. There's over 30 seconds to the start of the race, and they're at the 20-second mark now, so they're 10 seconds ahead, and they're almost off a plane.
Look at Ken Muscatel was attempting to squeeze the Budweiser out of lane number 1 as they got to the buoy of commitment, and he still is inside the Bud, and it looks like Budweiser will have to take lane number 2. The Sweetens RV Mart's got lane 1. Dave is in a wrong position here. He doesn't need to do this at all. Lane 1's going to be the Tweetens RV, lane 2 Budweiser, Elam, lane 3, and on the outside, Chaplin's Bellevue Volkswagen presents the Easter Seals. Here they come to the line.
It's an easy start. They're all legal.
Plenty easy start, and it should be an easy run to the first turn for the Miss Budweiser, but look, here he is in traffic, and it's not an easy run. He's down there with 3 boats altogether on both sides of him. He's got the Elam, and he's also got Ken Muscatel to deal with. The Budweiser tightens down on the corner, however, comes out first place. Ken Muscatel on the inside. The Tweetens RV Mart is in second place on his hip to the left, on the inside and to the right. It's the Elam Plus as they move down to turn number 2 for the first of 3 times around. The Bud has things its way, and really he didn't need to get himself in traffic. He could have made a clean outside start and still have been able to pull the same sort of a thing out. But I think he wants to feel this boat out in lane number 2 in some traffic, because I think that's the lane he's going to be looking for in the final heat. He's running away from it right at the moment. The Elam has assumed second place, has just pulled into second place. Jimmy King has, and Ken Muscatel now running in third place overall in the Tweetens RV Mart, trailing back as we expected would be the case, the Chaplins, Bellevue Volkswagen, and the Easter Seal boats.
Actually, Jimmy King is pulling the Budweiser in the chutes. He's not getting through the corners and off the corner quite as well, but he does have mile per hour on him coming down the chutes.
He definitely does, and he's going to try to reel him in here. He's got no lane advantage. He's outside, but he definitely is squeezing down on him right at the moment. You see the Elam pulling up in the rooster tail. He's going to be side by side at the entry point to that particular turn, and Miss Budweiser suddenly has himself a race to deal with as he comes through the corner. Dave Villwalk, realizing that he's got one more lap to go after this one, starting to feel the heat from the Elam, but right away he gets the cornering characteristics that Budweiser is noted for. The Elam's going to try to make it up again in the straightaway, and actually not losing too far back either is Ken Muscatel in the Tweetins RV Mart.
And that's just where Ken needs to be. That puts him in the final heat, and that'd be a great job for him. And Villwalk just took Jimmy King out for a little tour of the log boom out there.
Driving lesson there. Jimmy King still has a ways to go in that regard. Obviously got himself watered down in a previous heat, doing the same sort of thing, trying to tuck inside there. Dave Villwalk under control here as he heads down the back chute now with Miss Budweiser for the final time around here in this heat 3A. But Jimmy King doing well, staying right up there with him, attempting to close the gap where he can. But look at, here comes Mr. Muscatel now in this final turn. He's going to try to give Jimmy King a driving lesson as well. This could be very interesting. The Budweiser's going to win it. Checkered flag is showing for the Bud. The question is, who will be second? Looks like Jimmy King has enough boat speed to hold off the effort on the part of Ken Muscatel to finish second place overall. Here he comes across the line. Elam Plus second. Tweetins RV Mart third place overall. A shot made at the last moment there by Ken Muscatel, but not enough real estate to get the job done. Coming down also to finish, and in fourth place, Chaplin's Bellevue Volkswagen presents the Easter Seals boat. Bob Fendler's Hall, the number 19 across the line in fourth place.
I guess the bad news for the Bud in all of this is while they've run well, they've won 2 heats and was second in the other, they have not matched up with Appian all day. And so there's going to be some unknowns going into the final because Appian is obviously very fast. And Steve David and he have not collided. And you know Steve David's going to try his best to get in the final heat in the next set of heats in 3B. And it could be a little different story come the final.
Well, we're also going to watch and see. The Appian's got some work to do on the beach before they can get out there. Here are the unofficial heat results. Heat to 3A. Miss Budweiser picks up the 400 points with the Elam Plus. Jimmy King at the controls. The bricklayer from Detroit, Rick Mason. Didn't drive like a bricklayer that time, did he? Tweetins RV Mart, Ken Muscatel, and then Chaplin's Bellevue Volkswagen with Jerry Hale. Graham Trucking didn't get off the trailer. Here's Tony in the Budweiser pit.
Bernie, a little crowded than that first turn, but that speed pays off later with your boat, doesn't it?
Well, yeah, it does. Dave kind of was taking a little easy out there, and I think King was sneaking up on him a little bit.
Yeah.
Got me a little nervous.
Yeah, I saw you were a little bit nervous, but then that third lap, he pretty much took it away.
Yeah, he did. He's got plenty of power out there. Up to now, he hasn't been able to use it. But I'm damn sure by final lead, he'll need it all.
All right, so far so good.
Yeah, a lot of competition out there.
Well, there is. Yes, some good racing today. Let's toss it over to Bill Rocky.
Hey, Tony.
Tom Elstrom this time, and Tom, that was your guys' best heat of the day.
Yes, it was. We're very pleased with that second place finish, and looking forward to hopefully having enough points to get into the final.
He was actually giving Dave a run for his money there for a second.
Yeah, we seem to have improved our performance over the last heat. We made a propeller change and seemed to improve our chute speed overall. So we're happy. If we get into the final, we think we have got a good race set up, and we'll give everybody a run for their money.
Hey, Steve, Jimmy's coming in right now. The cockpit's up, and Elam's looking pretty good right now. Back to you, Steve.
Bill Rocky, thank you. We have awards presentations coming up for Heat 3A. We also have Heat 3B and lots more for you. Stand by. Texaco Cup at Seafair rolls on.
3A has been brought to you by Southwest Airlines, the official airline of Seafair, giving you the freedom to fly. By Subway Sandwiches, where you'll find 7 subs under 6 grams of fat. Subway, the way a sandwich should be. And presented for Seafair by Johnson & Johnson.
It's now official. Heat 3A is in the books here at the 98 Texaco Cup, and Dave Villwalk, in fact, wins, with Jimmy King coming in second and the Miss Elam Plus. Ken Muscatel third. It's Jerry Hale and the Chaplin's Bellevue Volkswagen fourth. And again, Graham Trucking, still a lot of work to do. They've got gearbox and shaft problems, and they haven't pulled the boat off the trailer for a couple of races, a couple of heats. Meantime, Tony Vetrella's in the mud pit. Tony.
first turn, a little crowded, but then you decided, nah, I don't want these people around me. I'm going off by myself.
Yeah, the Budweiser crew, they got the boat running great, and you know, I'm just trying to get it out front, you know, and you know, we're going to have to use everything we got in the truck to win this final, and you know, and with all the people getting up early and all the things that are happening, everything's getting crowded everywhere, so I presume the unpredictable will happen again here in Seattle.
Is the water hanging in there? A lot of times it gets rough as we get toward the final heat, but is it hanging in there okay?
The Budweiser's running so good, really, right now. It's not a problem for us. And we've turned a 148 mile an hour lap in lane 2. The heat before.
Yep.
That's a lot of steam.
Yeah, that is, Dave. Good job so far. And you guys still maintain you didn't jump the gun, but we won't talk about that now. Forget it. That's over with.
It's over with. And luckily, we only lost 100 points on that little deal. So, you know, in the points war, that's important to us.
Okay, Dave Vilwalk, another heat victory. Getting ready now for the finals. Already strategizing. Let's toss over to Bill Rocky.
Thanks, Tony. With Jimmy King. And Jimmy, I think you guys put it together there. That was your best heat of the day.
Yeah. Our experiments and that learned us a lot, but it wasn't quite where this boat liked to run, and I think we got a pretty good deal now. We got a long ways to go, but a little luck, we might jump into the final and see what we got.
We were talking on the straightaways there a little bit. You were pushing Dave there. You were catching him a little bit.
Yeah, it can roll on the outside of the race course. We got some work to do to make it run inside, but you never know. We got some ideas, and if we make the final, we'll see what we can come up with.
What's your thoughts of the course right now? Is it getting a little bumpy now that the afternoon goes on?
Actually, this is my third Seafair, and this is the best water I've ever raced on.
Hey, Jimmy, good luck the rest of the day. Let's go over to Bill Wixie.
Ken Muscatel, the driver of the Tweetons, and Ken, you're in the finals. You did it.
Not yet, but we think we're in the final. I'm pretty happy. You know, wasn't for the support of Gary Fisher and the Tweeton RV Mart, we wouldn't even be here. We got some extra help from Full Sail Ale. I mean, we were on our lips, even though racing well, but without sponsorship. The sponsors enable the boats to go racing, and the boat and the crew enables me to go racing. I'm the last predator on the food chain, so I'm real happy. We're running pretty well. We're running clean. I think I clicked the clock set last time.
Unlike other drivers here in the pits, you have to do a lot more work with the boat, a lot more hands-on work. Is that difficult as a driver?
I mean, I have to do a lot more work. These are the hands of a psychologist. They don't let me near the boat.
Well, as far as getting sponsorship and those sorts of things, I mean, you have to work very, very hard to keep the sponsorship and keep the boat running.
Yeah, it's quite literally it's a part-time job on top of my full-time job, and but the rewards, you come to Seafair and you run well, I'm pretty happy right now.
Well, you should be happy, Ken. You had a fine race there, a third-place finish for the Tweetons. We'll send it back upstairs.
And Bill, on top of all of that, Ken Muscatel, one of the movers and shakers with the Unlimited Hydroplane Museum, a wonderful thing for hydro fans all over the area. Meantime, hydro fans are partying on the boats right now on Lake Washington, and you couldn't ask for a better day. We've got more racing. Come on back.
We will award one of those vacation packages right here. Subway giving away trips for 2 to Reno and Lake Tahoe. 4 great vacations in all. The prize includes 2 sets of golf clubs from Play It Again Sports, airfare on Southwest Airlines, and accommodations at the El Dorado Hotel. So don't go away. That big announcement's coming up later this afternoon.
Oh, we've got lots of news coming up this afternoon, Mike. As you can see in the distance, by the way, I-90 has long since reopened after the flying performance of the Blue Angels, and Catamaran moving along the waters of Lake Washington, also enjoying a lovely day. Tony Ventrella is down in the pits, and he's got some news for us.
Thanks, Steve. Steve David, anxious to get in this boat for Heat 3B, and you get a first, you get a second, you get a third, you get the final.
Yeah, we're just got to do well in this heat. If a fourth, we're kind of on the bubble, so we're looking forward to put Freddy's up front in this heat.
All right, now you got a little more speed you were looking for with the new engine, so you're happy with that one?
Yeah, happy with that engine. They claim they got a better bullet for me for the final, too, so we're looking real good. Just got to get through this heat and get to the final.
All kind of good surprises today.
Oh, Tony, the fans are going to love it, I'm telling you. Stay tuned. This is WWF on water.
All right, have a great run out there.
Okay, Tony.
Steve David, he says they're saving something for the final. He's got to win this heat first, or at least come in second or third to get into the final. Steve, back to you.
Tony, we haven't seen much wrestling out here today. We expected some. Here's the winner, the guy we thought Steve David was going to wrestle with down on the awards platform.
Spartanburg with Johnson & Johnson, the proud makers of Tylenol and Pepcid, and I'm pleased today to present the certificate for winning the 3A heat to Dave Vilwalk. Dave, I'd like to first present you with a souvenir T-shirt and hat, and I'd also like my friend Justin to present you with the plaque.
Hey, thank you very much. Thank you, Dave. Thanks, Skip. It's really great to have all the people we do involved in this great Seafair race. You know, we've had a lot of friends that help us put this on, and a lot of people that work really hard. So, on behalf of Budweiser, Bernie Little, and the entire Budweiser crew, thank you.
Thanks a lot. That's Dave Vilwalk, winner of Heat 3A. We've got 3B coming up in a couple of moments. Meantime, we want to check in again. It is often the place where there's an awful lot of fun. Sometimes there are safety issues. Always talked about being very careful out there on the logboom. But Brian Wood has been following everything for us out there today.
Well, you know, and the drivers know, they talk about it all the time. Rollers. Those are those sideways waves that come off the hydros, that radiate out, slam up against that logboom and the boats that are tethered there, and radiate right back into the hydros, bringing one sponson up, another sponson down. Very dangerous out here on the course. A bit earlier before the racing, we talked with a couple of drivers about rollers.
I mean, I think that for Seattleites, the thing that they can identify most is going off the steepest ski run that you can imagine that has the biggest bumps on it you've ever seen, and just reacting to it. Because it's going to change every time, and you just got to react to what's coming at you.
Rollers are the bad part here. The waves, wind shock, we can all deal with that. The wind, no big deal. The rollers, what happens in the back chute, they're longitudinal. They go the length of the course. So when you're running along, you're aired out, you hit a roller, and it kind of kicks the boat up sideways. And that's what causes these boats to get really light and blow over sometimes.
Matter of fact, most of the blowover accidents, the flips we've seen, have been a result of those rollers. Especially bad they can be up here in the north turn, because it radiates not only off the logboom, but off the floating bridge as well. We've been very lucky so far. Very calm racing, no winds, smooth. Let's hope it stays that way the rest of the afternoon, Steve.
Well, Brian, when we get 6 boats out there for the final, we'll see some tight racing, and we'll see how those rollers affect these magnificent flying machines, except as long as they stay on the water, everything will be just fine. We're coming back with more of that racing on the water and flying along it as Mark Evans concentrates as he prepares for Heat 3B. Back with more after this.
Heat 3B is brought to you by Volkswagen. On the road of life, there are passengers and there are drivers. And presented for Seafair by Simrad Incorporated, worldwide manufacturer of marine electronics.
And it's time to talk boat racing, and we start with the Appian Geronimo, and this boat looks conspicuously naked from behind there, Scott.
It's going to handle much differently. They only have an upright fairing on the right side of the boat, and the boat is going to pound on its nose.
It's going to be a bit of a problem to handle indeed. That may give the brother to Mitch Evans a better opportunity, Mark Evans, but Mitch is going to drive it hard. You can be sure of that. Pound or no pound, he did it without tail feathers entirely the last time out.
Bill Wixie is in the Appian Geronimo camp. Bill?
Thank you, Steve. Yeah, I'm standing by with Bill Macklin as they start to fire these babies up. One tail on this thing. What kind of problem does that cause?
Oh, it's going to handle a little bad, but it'll be okay. He'll go out there and he'll do the best he can, but it's going to be a little rough on him. He's going to be wore out by the time he gets back.
But you want to take it easy. The analogy they use is like skiing. You don't want to make a mistake late in the day when you start getting tired.
Right.
Steve?
All right, Bill Wixie. Here is the Lumar boat with Nate Brown at the controls.
Well, here's one of the balance of the 3 that he needs to step up. He ran a good first heat. He was 4th in the second heat, and he needs to get going.
Nate Brown definitely has to get going, and it's late in the day that he usually does. So look for Nate Brown to have a good Heat 3 here in Heat 3B. He's going to have a lot of competition out there, but he's a quick driver, and he's a smart one as well. So look for this cagey chauffeur to know what to do.
The Mondo Chihuahua, Steve David hasn't done a lot of barking today because Freddie's Club has not had things its way.
Well, it hasn't had the Budweiser, so he hasn't got that deal going. He did run better in his second heat, and he needs points, so you look for him to go.
Yeah, he's in a must-win situation, or at least second, in order to get the final heat and get in a position that he wants to be in. If he indeed has the power to do it, as he suggests, this might be the opportunity, but he's going to have to tangle with the Pico, of course, in this one, which is absolutely desperately in need of points.
A lot of fans for the Freddy's Club because of Jim Harvey, Mr. Nice Guy in boat racing. Let's go down to that pit and Tony Ventrella.
Yeah, Steve David told you a couple of minutes ago they may be saving something for the final, but before he can think about that, he does have the race of the day on his hands right now. Jim Harvey, by the way, is not out on the pier for these races. He's watching up in the trailer because of earlier failures, or not failures, but not doing as well as they wanted to. So Jim said, you know, I'm going to go inside until our luck changes. And he's the crew chief, but he's not working as much. He's relaxing a bit today. Back to you, Steve.
Well, that's nice for Jim Harvey. Give him a chance, but I'm sure he's churning inside. He's not relaxing. Meantime, the U100, the Pico American Dream, with Mark Evans at the controls, and let's see if they've got the new bullet in the boat.
Well, they need to put some kind of bullet in it. This is a guy that's sitting about 8th place in points, and he was last year's winner, and he needs to go.
Been in the basement. This is pretty much his final heat. Win it here, he may have a chance to win it all. Don't win it here, things aren't going to look so good, especially if he trails down in 3rd or 4th place in this particular heat. Mark Evans is in a must-win situation.
Bill Rocky's in the pits for the Pico team.
I was with Tim Hamilton, Pico crew. Tim, you guys have been climbing all day up the ladder. This is pretty much desperado time. You got to win this.
Yeah, we do have to win this. We've only got 2 4th place finishes, and that gets us only 338 points. And we really need a win to get in the final for sure. Otherwise, we have to run the provisional. If we win the provisional, we're in the final, but that's good. But the bad thing about it is it makes us a trailer boat, which puts you a rooster tail behind everybody at the start.
Hey, Mark's been struggling all year, and today I guess a little bit of the same, right?
Yeah, it's just been the same all year, and it's getting kind of frustrating. So we're hoping for a good run here and get into the final and a good showing for the hometown.
Okay, we'll see what Mark can do in this heat. Let's go back up to Steve.
And here are your boats for Heat 3B. It's the Pico American Dream, the U100, the Freddy's Club, U2, Steve David at the controls, the Appian Geronimo with Mitch Evans behind the wheel, and the Lumar window film, U8, Nate Brown at 1:44 and change as we approach the clock start. Mike Fitzsimmons.
You know, if he can survive a flip last year and still win the race, he can certainly kick the ball and chain here and still be in it for Mark Evans. You can't count this guy out ever, and you don't want to make the mistake of doing it until the fat lady sings, that's for sure. In any event, it's going to be Mitch and Mark with the fast boats in between them, being Steve, of course, and Nate. So nothing is going to be certain in this situation until the checkered flag falls. Anything can happen here, but it's a pressure heat for at least 2 of the racing teams. The Lumar's got to be in a position better than they've been in. There's a lighter amount of pressure perhaps on Steve David, a whole lot of pressure on Mark Evans in this particular heat. And they are in a better setup now going through the lower corner than they were before. They're further or deeper into it, or they were when we got to the 1 minute gun. Let's see who's going to try to take the inside lane. Looks like Steve David would like it. It also looks like Nate Brown would want it as well. They're creeping up. There's a buoy that they're going to cross right now. It's a double lash orange and green, and whoever has lane 1 at that point owns it for the rest of the way, and it looks like that's going to be Nate Brown. In lane number 2, it's going to be the Freddy's Club. And it looks like Mitch and Mark have decided to go outside a little bit for the start here.
That's not a good position for Mark Evans. He was trying for the inside. He just didn't get it. He really could have used it.
Yeah, in fact, he's going to be in the 3-lane and way out wide. The Appian Geronimo is going to be in the 4-lane. Time's ticking down, 5-4. It looks like we're going to be okay on the start. And we are. And the Pico leads him across at least for a moment. And seems to have the acceleration diving down into turn number 1. Mark Evans, despite the fact he wanted a more inside position on the start, has definitely got some advantage. Stephen David from the inside pokes off the corner first, but he doesn't really have the power to hold on to that, it doesn't look like to me, unless he's got some beans we didn't expect to see from him. Mark Evans on the outside is pushing him, and it looks like wisely the Appian Geronimo is laying back and staying out of trouble here, because Mitch has so much more to lose than he has to gain in this one.
He doesn't need the points, but these other 3 guys that
Steve David just just went upside down on the Freddy's Club. Now let's see if we have some flares. Yes, we do, and red flags. That is the Freddy's Club that went upside down, catching a gust of wind at the center point of turn number 2, and the boat is upside down and floating flat as we would expect. On his way to him is Eric Stielau in that specialized UHRA rescue boat. Steve and David upside down in the Freddy's Club. Everybody has shut down as they are supposed to when they see the flares. He was in a wide open lane there in the 3-lane, coming very hard through the corner. Challenging indeed. Cut a gust of wind right down off the Mount Baker bathing beach down there. And the boat is upside down. See no motion yet from the right-hand or left-hand side of your screen where the escape hatch underneath the cockpit would be. Well, there he is. Steve David.
No, that's the diver going for him.
There's a diver.
He's probably just sitting in there. He's cleared his air mask, I'm sure. He's a very cool, calm customer. He was at the apex of the corner when he went upside down, which for him is good news because it's one of the slower spots on the racetrack.
Hatch has come out.
I see him helping. I believe
Steve David is assisting.
There's his feet.
Looks like he's maybe trying to get disconnected inside. Does that cockpit fill up with water pretty quickly?
Immediately.
Yes,
you can see the water actually at the door. It fills up immediately. And that's why what you want to do, as soon as you get in that position, haven't been there 9 times, you just want to calm down and try to get your air mask clear and get some air going.
There are some straps on the butt of the driver's suit, and it appears that Steve is having a little problem getting out of his cockpit. He's getting some assistance now from Eric Stielau, whose guys just jumped on board the inverted Freddy's Club.
They're trying to be careful because if he is hurt, they don't want to yank him and increase any injuries that he may have. We can hope that he isn't. Here he comes.
We see him now fully out. Head is out of the water. They're trying to stabilize his neck, it appears right now, holding Steve David very still, as competitive as any driver that's out here on the race course today. And right now, I guess probably rescue personnel just talking to him. How do you feel? Do you feel this? What can you feel? What hurts? What doesn't? There's Steve Harvey, who never moved from the trailer, or Jim Harvey, excuse me, who never moved from the trailer prior to the race.
He's obviously watching KIRO. It sees on the screen. That's as close as he can get to his disabled driver at this moment. They are working with Steve right at the moment at the cockpit and have not extracted him fully from the underside hatch on the race boat. There is some damage you can see to the sponson. This would be the right sponson, but it's inverted, of course, and it appears on your right side also.
I got to tell you, my credit to the rescue people. They were there in a shot. These guys are trained. Those rescue personnel in the water almost instantly when that boat stopped
absolutely
turning.
So fast indeed. I thought it was Steve himself climbing out. He can sometimes get out through the actual hatch that he climbs into the race boat. Let's go down to Tony Ventrella now.
Okay, Jim Harvey, as you see, is just taking off, leaving to go see what the condition of Steve David is, but he is out of the boat. The rest of his family's in the trailer, still watching, trying to watch our video and see what they can find out. But Jim Harvey just ran away and took off to go over to the medical area where they, I'm sure, will bring Steve David in just a minute. We're going to skip over there too. Let's go back to you and we'll run over there.
All right, Tony, not the first time that Steve David has been upside down. This boat did flip a few years ago in Madison. It was described when it was first built as unflippable. That obviously not the case. But in any event, Steve David survived a blowover of this same race boat in Madison, Indiana at the Indiana Governor's Cup about 3 years ago.
Mike, we saw Steve Harvey run from right to left in our position above the pits looking out to the water. He's heading out to the finger pier near the Coast Guard barge here as close as he can possibly get. And of course, that's a long, long way away from where this accident occurred. Again, as we continue to watch these pictures from Chopper 7 almost directly overhead and yet still well away from the boats. We see the helmet now.
They have him stabilized.
Yeah,
his helmet is off.
It looks like it is. He is being put on the stretcher board onto the rescue craft.
Steve's daughter Emma is in the truck, and I'm sure they've radioed to her.
Now, do not expect for this particular rescue boat to come racing back to the pit area. It is thoroughly equipped to be able to provide triage right out there on the water. This is not a boat that will come charging back to the pit area because that's not necessary. They virtually are a floating emergency room. They have all the gear necessary to do what needs to be done originally for first aid for a driver, and they will usually proceed back to the pit area slowly under every circumstance. So it makes no difference whatever the speed of the boat with respect to whether or not Steve David's injuries are severe or not. It's virtually meaningless how fast this boat comes back to shore.
Well, meantime, while they continue to attend to Steve David, and as Jim Harvey has moved, as we said, to a position to be able to see as his driver's brought back to shore, let's check in with Brian Wood, who's out on the log boom, and quite a frightening sight from that angle.
Absolutely. We're maybe less than 100 yards away from it right now. The live pictures you're seeing as they continue to work on the boat. Just yesterday, day before yesterday, I was out on that rescue boat with Eric Steelau. He was giving me a long list of the equipment they carry with them. Safety equipment is it's set up essentially like a paramedic truck, jaws of life and the whole bit. They were there right on the spot. They keep a half dozen of these rescue boats out here with divers and paramedics and a doctor ready to roll. They keep one out here in the north turn. That's the first one you saw go in. They're still working on it right now.
All right, Brian.
See, they're not proceeding quickly. They're just doing their job on the spot. And it makes no difference whether he's injured seriously or not injured at all. That would be the pace back to the pits anyway.
Well, remember, for those of you who have perhaps never seen a hydroplane, an unlimited hydroplane race, and you see an accident that looks as devastating as that, and we're going to show you a replay right now. I saw hands flipping in the bottom of the boat. I'm hoping that was Steve David saying, yeah, I can move my arms and I can move my hands, but we'll wait and see. Remember, we saw Mark Evans 1 year ago flip, get out of the bottom of his boat, and win the race. But here is the dark boat that you see there, the black boat, catch some air, and Scotty, he just starts bouncing.
He bounced off a roller in the right spots, and then he hung the right spots, and then from there it was all over. Now let's watch the entry. This is really, oh yes, what he did, if we could back that up one more time, the boat actually broke in half as it was coming into the water. Second angle right here. Here goes the boat. He's going to come over. Watch when the tips go. No, we lost it in the rooster tail on that one.
Not really able to see it real well from that angle.
Okay, this angle. He's bounced it up. Now he's hung. At this point, he's over. I mean, he knows it. There's nothing he can do at this point. The boat's just going to climb. He's turning it, trying to scrub speed, which is why the boat's going to corkscrew with the left sponson down. Here it goes. But watch this when the boat turns around and comes back in like this. You'll watch the boat. See the boat right there?
Yeah.
It broke in half. That's one of the drawbacks of the two-wing design, because there isn't a full bottom through the boat. It looks like the cockpit was in pretty good shape, but obviously with it underwater right now, we can't tell that. But
braking that way too will allow the energy to be released out of the hull rather than into the cockpit, and that's also a good sign.
All right, back to the rescue boat now. And Mike Fitzsimmons, you're on the start-finish tower. Have you heard anything from officials, a radio report of any condition yet?
We do not have any condition report, and that's typical. They will not report the condition until such time as the full check from Eric's boat is completed. Then they will report the condition. They don't usually report it rapidly.
And the shame of it really is, as far as Steve's concerned, I'll guarantee, is that they finally got it running. He was out front, and he had the boys pretty well handled, and boy, it's a shame when they go over like that.
Well, it was fun listening to these guys kind of banter back and forth during the course of the week. He and Dave Villwock, and as we set up at the beginning of this program, the talk of conspiracy, and everybody actually, drivers and teams, were all sort of playing along. They enjoyed the talk of it, and as we said, that might have been the only way that the Budweiser could not win, is if other teams sort of figured out how to work the clock start, and Steve David was right in the middle of all of that, the most experienced perhaps driver with the clock start. Now his day is finished. We can only hope now that he is be able to walk away from this. We have seen many drivers do just that. I'm sitting next to one right now.
Yeah, I've had more. You limp. But it's better than the alternative.
One interesting note with respect to this hull design, as Scott mentioned, it being a two-wing, does not have a canard up front. So Steve did not have a pedal that could have allowed him to provide some down deck pressure, for example, as he got into that situation. He unfortunately must ride that out, because that is not a boat that has such equipment available for the driver to do. If they had had a canard, perhaps he might have been able to settle it down. But typically, as you know, Scotty, in that kind of a turn, you don't usually have much canard to work with anyway.
When they go over in the corner like that, there's not a whole lot that you can do, and they just have Steve laying there real still, and Eric Steelau doesn't seem to be. This is Eric right here. and he is our lead rescue person, has been with us for over 10 years. And Steve is just laying there, as he's told. This is Emma.
We are hearing, excuse me, Scott, I don't mean to interrupt, but we're hearing now that the family of Steve David in the pits, and you can see
that's Emma, his daughter.
You can see she's laughing, she's smiling, and we're hearing that she has been given the first report already that he is all right. That Steve David, we thought we saw him kind of moving his arms to show the rescue personnel that he was okay. But there is Emma, and things appear to be a little less frantic down there in the Freddy's Casino, the Freddy's Club pits at this point. But again, Steve David is still lying flat on his back. There, we can see.
Now he's going to tell him about it.
That's right. He's going to explain it all.
He's going to show him how it went up and over.
Yeah, he's telling them the whole story again and again and again. And Steve is an animated guy anyway, and he's got his hands crossed. It's probably all he can do not to repeat the story.
He may have a little bit of a foot injury. They pulled the shoe off here. And I'd like to just take a second and give a personal note to Jamie, my daughter's at home, and Emma's fine and everyone's okay.
Yeah, this is tough on families when these kinds of things happen. It's also tough on the other drivers who are in close proximity, who are watching these things happen. The race course has been closed down. The other boats have come in, and we are in the pits right now with Nate Brown, I believe.
Steve, that's right. I'm down here with Nate. Nate, you saw what happened out there. What you saw?
Good vantage point in my spot. The Freddy's Club and the Lumar were having a great race. It was going to be a neat race all 3 laps. And I look over and Steve started sliding out. And I don't know, I mean, if the skid fin unhooked or if a rod broke or something like that. I don't know, but he was sliding out pretty severe. And in doing so, I saw the boat get light, and then I look again, and he was over. And unfortunately, it landed tail side, you know. But I'm glad. It looks like, watching your monitor, it looks like Steve's okay, and he's moving his arms and that kind of stuff. Word from the URC official is that he's moving his arms and talking and that kind of stuff. So the little Chihuahua, or the Mondo Chihuahua, I think is probably barking pretty hard out there right now.
At that part of the course right now, what was it like? Was it windy, choppy?
You know, it really wasn't. It was good water conditions. What happened where I was in lane 1, it wasn't that bad. Now lane 2, it could have been a skid fin, you know, hole from the lap before or something like that, in where he hit that right sponson and just let it hang. And a lot of times in these boats, if you notice, the Budweiser boat's got a clear fence on that sponson, and their wind tunnel design testing, they've determined that helps keep the boat down. Well, all the rest of us don't have budgets to go wind tunnel testing, but I think that's what classic blow over in a corner. I've done it twice, and Steve's done it once now, and I'm just glad he's okay, and I feel for that whole U2 team and for Freddy's Club. They were a great boat, and they were here in contention this weekend.
Nate, thanks a lot. Let's go over to Bill Wixie.
Mitch Evans and the Appian Geronimo got a rear view kind of view of what happened out there. What'd you see?
Yeah, basically, I mean, I was running on Mark's hip. I knew Stephen was inside of him, and you just see the boat rise up. You know, you can see the top of the cowling through the water, and then pretty soon you see the boat just pitch around. And I knew he was coming at me, so I just made a hard right-hand turn and tried to make sure I was out of the way. So unfortunate for Stephen. He's running awful good today.
It's kind of strange to say, but it's not a bad thing to have a red flag in that situation because it gives your boat more time to repair.
Yeah, unfortunately, we had a mount that was broken. We got that repaired, so that'll give us some time to get it back on there for the heat and maybe get some things straightened out for the final.
Good. Thank you very much. Mitch Evans of the Appian Geronimo. Tony?
Well, we're waiting for Tony Ventrella. In the meantime, we're awaiting the arrival, and the rescue boat bringing Steve David is now nearing shore. Meantime, ambulances are standing by, or an ambulance is standing by. And Mike Fitzsimmons, run us through now what happens as Steve David is brought to shore. They do have a medical center right here on site, don't they?
They do, and that's exactly where they'll take him first. If he should require hospitalization, they will first stabilize him there beyond that which was possible in the rescue boat, and then they will order an ambulance. He will be taken by ground. In severe cases, they might helicopter. I don't think that the demeanor of the rescue personnel with respect to Steve David as they brought him back in was anxious enough looking to me to indicate real serious injuries. So I believe that they've got him stable, but he will go to that center infirmary in the pit area, and he may be there a little while. You know, I was noticing on the video as we watched the boat come through the corner, Brian had talked about those rollers, and there was one there. It may have been a skid fin roller, but there was a parallel roller that caused the boat to walk across it, kind of like a lump in the rug or a speed bump that's parallel to your lane of travel. And it appeared as though the Freddy's Club walked on it and then picked up and launched the right sponson off. It hung for quite a long time. Of course, they're in a turn, so there's a lot of air. The boat becomes a kite. and gets upside down. Its own inertia takes it through that whip around where the rear of the boat comes back down again ahead of the front end, and that appears to be exactly what happened there. And Scotty's absolutely right. The entire boat broke literally in two straight across the midsection when it came back to the water. There are two canoes and two wings between them, and those canoes really, structurally speaking, there's not a whole lot there to hold off an impact like that. It's designed to hold off impacts with the boat right side up, obviously not upside down, and it did indeed crack right there. It virtually broke the spines on both sides of those canoes as it came back down to the water. The good news is, of course, the energy is distributed out through all that and not directly to the cockpit. There you see Steve David being carried to the infirmary. He's waving. He hears people applauding him right at the moment.
He does. In fact, Mike, right down in front of us, the crew of the Lumar boat all standing on top of the boat and applauding Steve David, and a number of fans who are now here in the pit area as he is being walked over. This is taking place directly down in front of us at our position in the pits. They'll go into the infield, and the traveling infirmary for the UHRA is just down below us.
The strapping that you see over his forehead is holding his neck straight. That doesn't necessarily even mean that he has a neck injury. That is a precaution. After all, the rattling of the head that occurs in the cockpit in a situation like that is the most to be concerned about. Lindsey Emons, as you know, walking around with a neck brace. They too were concerned about him. He came off of his boat strapped the very same way, and that's usually the kind of an injury that will be almost automatic if from a sore neck to anything worse than that, and we hope there's nothing more than just a sore neck if that's the case. But in any event, that is a stabilizing process that is pretty much standard operating procedure.
All right, gentlemen, it is just about 3 p.m. now. We have stopped Heat 3B, the blowover accident. The Freddy's Club with Steve David goes over the top. That's all that's left. A couple of gents out there waving to the beach saying we're going to get towed in, and it's going to take a while to bring that boat in and get it off the course. One more time, we want to get a shot of what happened down here. Just into Heat 3B, this is from Chopper 7, and you can see those boats diving into the first turn, Scott.
Well, there he goes. I mean, he's in the turn first and he's clean, but there's the roller. You can actually see the roller right there.
You can see him walk right off it. Yep, there he goes.
As soon as you turn the boat, you're turning it into the wind, and as you turn it into the wind and you lift the right sponson, there's nothing you can do. I mean, I've hung there so many times, I can tell you.
Watch for the roller action here. There, he's going to walk the right sponson.
Right
there comes the right sponson, and it's going to come up right here. It springs 1, 2, there it is, and he's off.
And no matter how quickly you get off the accelerator, there's no way you can bring that boat back.
Actually, that accelerates the accident faster because you remove the thrust from the propeller, and it sets the back end of the boat down, and that puts it over. Your natural human reaction, of course, is to take your foot off the gas, but most of us are trained pretty well, and I don't believe
there's that roller. Splashes right off the right sponson, sends him up. Boy, he was hanging a long time.
Till at this point here, he's trying to save it.
Yep.
I mean, you think you're going to save it even when you sit here and know that there's no way of saving it.
You know, he wasn't all that far away, as a matter of fact. He wasn't all that far away from the Pico, who had to kind of fly around that turn. As we heard Mark Evans say, he was making tracks to sort of get out of the way of what was happening out there on the race course. So in the meantime, we're in a bit of a holding pattern here. They're going to restart Heat 3B, right?
Yes, they'll have to rerun the heat, and of course the Harvey boat, the Freddy's Club boat, will not be in it, so they'll restart it with those 3 boats, and we'll get it going again.
All right, the headline today is it has been a wonderful day of racing until now. It's been marred by an accident. Steve David, however, appears to be all right. He is in the infield infirmary. He's being checked over by the doctors here with the UHRA, and we have had great air show. We've had good racing. We've had a pause now, though. We've had a problem. We'll get it fixed. We'll get the boat off the course, or what's left of the Freddy's Club, and we'll come back to racing here at the Texaco Cup at Seafair 98. We're back live, and that's the Freddy's Club boat, and it's still upside down, and it's still out on the race course. It's got to be towed in. It's going to be a long process. Meantime, Bill Rocky is down near the infield infirmary, and he's got Mark Evans.
Thanks, Steve. Mark, what'd you see out there? You were right next to him.
Oh man, we were going for a good race there, and just outside my left window, I was finally starting to pull him just a little bit going down the backstretch. As we went into the turn, he started pulling me like crazy. When he turned, the boat just started lifting up, and out of the corner of my eye, I could see him, you know. And man, oh man, after a couple seconds, I could see clear under his boat. I could see the skid fin still trying to hang in. Then the skid fin broke loose, and the thing just barrel rolled up. As it came around, I saw the back end come up, and then his wing got really close to me. And man, it was really close scene. I've seen Steve flip on the right side of me at Madison, Indiana one year, and now I got him on the left side. It was a wild scene.
What were your thoughts on the conditions out there? Was it windy? Nate thought it was pretty good.
It was actually not too bad, but we just got all our rollers out there again, and that's what he did. I think his boat just reacted off of a roller out there, and it launched him.
Okay, that happened to you last year. You're going to talk a little bit about the mask here. You think this really helped Steve today?
It really does. The safety equipment that we have nowadays, you know, we get this from Security Race Products right here in Renton. Alapointe and all his crew put this stuff together for us. We got our little breathing apparatus and our microphone and stuff inside here, and that's why Steve was able to stay upside down inside the boat, breathe, and he was fine until the rest of you guys could get to him. So, you know, thanks to Alapointe and all the guys at Security Race Products that take care of all of us drivers. Without them, you know, we'd be out there coughing up a little water. So thanks, you guys.
The main thing is, though, it sounds like Steve's probably going to be okay.
Oh yeah, he's got his sense of humor on the gurney when he was coming in. I'll be back to kick your butt, so to speak. So, you know, he's fine. It sounds like he might have hurt his foot or his toe or something, but that kind of goes with it when you go over like that. But thank goodness, because of all this, he's in good shape.
Mark, thanks a lot. Steve, let's go back up to you.
All right, Bill Rocky. And I'm glad that people can now smile. Everybody can sort of take a breath. I saw Jim Harvey kind of scoot across the infield, making his way back over to the infirmary. He's again checking on his driver's condition. That boat is in really bad shape.
Yes, Steve, I mean, they always can be repaired. I've ridden them up where they were totally destroyed, and they do reappear, but it's in tough shape. Their next race is going to be over Labor Day in Madison, Indiana. The Harvey team has been making every race for the last few years, even without sponsorship. He's a big supporter of the sport, and he's going to need some help from his fellow competitors now, because it's going to take a Herculean effort to put that boat back together, and we haven't even seen it turned over yet.
Right. We, our producers and our reporters down there in the infield have been getting the information for you, and we're understanding now that at least preliminary reports, and this is still unofficial until the doctors come out and actually tell us what the deal is, but the preliminary report is a possible broken toe, and that in fact Steve David, they said, may walk or probably limp back to his camp before this race day is over to watch the final with his friend Jim Harvey, team owner, and his daughter. So
well, that's obviously some awfully good news. We do have a little update on what we'll do schedule-wise now. The unlimited lights are being put in the water as we speak, and they're going to run them. They will then rerun Heat 3B at 3:30, we are told, with respect to the rerun of Heat 3B. So that's what it'll do as far as affecting the schedule. And we shouldn't be too far off, it appears, on the final heat schedule or the overall published schedule that we began the day with, if indeed we do things that way.
Now, Mike, one of the pluses then in all this, as has been mentioned now, but we saw the pictures just a moment ago, and that is, since the lights will go in first, rerun 3B, Appy and Geronimo, John Walters and Mitch Evans and company have a chance now to rebuild that wing, get those uprights stable, and try to get that wing holding on.
Looks like it's already done.
Yeah, they are going to have a wing on it. It looks like they borrowed one from the Easter Seals boat, which was a teammate to them last year. And so that's some nice sportsmanship there. And he'll like the boat a lot better. He was lagging back in fourth place there. Of course, he doesn't really need to do a lot, but the boat will definitely handle much better with its wing on.
So again, Unlimited Lights Final is coming up, and we'll set that feel for you and talk about the Unlimited Lights. They are fun to watch, they go fast, and maybe best of all, they still make a lot of noise. We all like that here at the pits. Bill Rocky is back in the pits with more information on the incident for us. Bill?
Thanks, Steve. I'm with Dr. Mitch Story. And Mitch, how's Steve doing?
Steve's doing great. He was fully conscious, didn't have any water in his lungs. You know, he came out in good spirits, was very cooperative. He's got a sore toe. Otherwise, we're reevaluating him right now. He'll probably go to the hospital a little bit later and have an x-ray of his foot.
That's what you want to hear, isn't it, when a guy comes in?
Absolutely perfect. He's really in good spirits. He's a veteran driver, and he's very cooperative with us. We really appreciate drivers that cooperate like that, and we're trying to rescue him.
Oh, is he going to walk out of here?
No, he's got a sore foot. It may be broken.
Okay, thanks a lot. That's good news. If he gets out of this with just a broken toe, I think we're in pretty good shape. Steve?
I think Steve David's in pretty good shape, too. too. Bill Rocky, thanks, and thanks to Mitch Story for the update on the condition of driver Steve David. The boat's still being towed in. The Freddy's Club got a ways to go yet. Unlimited Lights will be next on the schedule as we continue here from Seafair 98, the Texaco Cup, along the shores of Lake Washington. Be right back.